What is going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to TVandme. I'm of course Kevin, and this isn't a reaction to The Walking Dead, unfortunately. This is the big Q&A episode, the episode where you get to ask questions and put them to me and find out what I think of certain characters in the show, certain situations. You get to find out a bit about me as well, so it's something a little bit different. I mean, you get to ask specific questions that I probably haven't answered before, so it'll be interesting at least. Without further ado though, let's get straight into it because I've got so many questions and I want to thank you guys for that as well. You gave me so many questions to answer and I really appreciate it. I will as well try to get to every single question. I went through the comments section trying to find everything, so if I do miss a question then please just send me it on Twitter or put it in the comments section of this video and I will answer it. So the first question is from 7th Wall 34, I appreciate it, and it says Q&A question: what is your favourite season so far, The Walking Dead? Thanks for reading, Kevin. You're very welcome, and it's pretty strange because this doesn't normally happen with TV shows with me, but it is exactly how it's been released. So the third season, sorry, is my favourite, then it's the second, then it's the first. It's simple as that. I feel like this show has just got better and better as the seasons have gone along, and from what I'm hearing from you guys about season 4, that it's a really good season. It's going to get better again, so I'm guessing like it is at the minute, because at minutes it's like I say 3 favourite, then 2, then 1, and I feel like when season 4 comes out it will probably be 4, 3, 2, 1. Whether that carries on into further seasons, because I've heard mixed things about the seasons going on beyond season 4, we'll have to wait and see, but pretty simple, 3, 2, 1. Next up is Matthew Play PC. Who inspired you to start your channel? Thank you again for the question, Matthew. There's a few reactors actually. First off is Blind Wave, which I'm sure you've heard of. They are big in the reactor circle of YouTube channels. They're an amazing bunch of guys, and if you haven't checked them out, you should check them out. They do so much good stuff over on that channel, and they've actually built a really good community, which is something I want to do. But yeah, Blind Wave is certainly one. Marek Productions, they're a couple of cool guys, cool German guys who react to Game of Thrones, even though they've nearly caught up with that now, which I enjoy watching them react to, and they react to other stuff like Breaking Bad, which I haven't seen myself, but I've seen some of actually, but not all of it. Breaking Bad they react to, and they react to Stranger Things recently. They recently finished that, which was good as well. So yeah, Marek Productions, Blind Wave. Also I should mention Storm Akima. Storm Akima is a channel which I really enjoy. She basically has done Game of Thrones reactions, because those are normally the reactions I seek out myself. She does Game of Thrones reactions with her mum and her sister, and her family are really nice. Her sister is absolutely incredible to watch as she's watching Game of Thrones, because they're a family that don't normally watch that sort of show, something that is that violent. It's funny watching her react to it, because she goes a bit over the top, like trying to run out the room, and she's slapping her legs and she's screaming, and it's really fun to watch. So next question is from Connor Pulley, and I apologise if I butcher any of your names, by the way. I apologise because I'm usually really bad with names, but thank you, Connor. He puts, TVandme, if you could bring back one dead character, who would it be? I've been thinking about this, and I feel like if I had to bring back one character, do you know what? It would probably be Shane. That's probably really shocking to you guys and girls, knowing what I thought about him, but I feel now that Rick has come to the point in the story where he is now, and the rest of the group are at that point now where they do know the threat strangers pose, and they wouldn't just bring him into the group. They could actually work well with Shane now, because I feel like Shane was ahead of the curve in terms of how to deal with strangers in the Walking Dead world. You know, he was a bit of ahead of his time, and like most things that are ahead of their time, they're sort of ridiculed in that moment in the past, but when you look back on them, you're like, oh, maybe they were right. And I feel that's what it's like with Shane. He was just at the wrong point at the wrong point of time, and should he come back, I think him and Rick would work together, especially now Laurie is out of the picture, because Laurie was the one thing which was causing friction between those two, and now she's gone, and now Rick's got to the point where Shane was in the show. I feel like they would be a better unit now, like a better tag team, like taking out all the bad guys and working together and making their group safe. So it'll probably have to be Shane. So next question is from Jay Bishop. Where are you from? And I won't read out the second part because that's pretty self-serving to me, but thank you, I really appreciate that. But where am I from? So I'm from a place called Peterborough in Cambridgeshire, England. Medium-sized city, about 100,000 occupants or so. And not much really goes on about it. It's quite a sleepy city. You know, it's pretty much self-contained in the east of England. And yeah, not much to tell you about it really. We've got a cathedral from like I think it's from the 11th century, I think, something like that. But apart from that, pretty boring, pretty average, and not much going on. Next one is from Your Naked Cellmate. Thank you again, I appreciate that. And it says, okay Kevin, I've got one. We talk a lot about The Walking Dead at the moment, but other than The Walking Dead, what is your favourite or one of your favourite TV shows of all time? Enjoyed the episode, man. I mean, I mention it over and over again, but Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is my best show of all time, because of the setting, the medieval setting, which I love, and a lot of it actually is because of the politics in the show. I really love the way that's weaved into the story, plus the supernatural element, of course, and the dragons, and just the battles and the fights, and just one thing I find Game of Thrones does really well, which I really enjoy, is they do like buddy road trip segments really well. Like they pair up characters who go on these road trips, and they work excellently. And also they've got a really good way of weaving in story elements which don't come out till later on in later seasons, which are like, oh, so that's what that was for. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. Like I say, the setting, the story, just the grand scale of it. And I mean, if you guys didn't know, in season 6 I think it was, they had, I think it was $10 million per episode they could spend. So that's an hour's worth of TV, and they had $10 million for it, which is just absolutely insane for a budget for a TV show. And it is basically like a movie, a serialized movie every week, and I love it. And also I should say, actually, I've got a video coming out in the near future, which is the top 5 TV shows you've probably never heard of. And they're basically 5 TV shows that I grew up on, or I love myself, that you've probably never heard of. And there's a few British shows in there, a few American shows, and yeah, keep an eye out for that, because there might be a few TV shows in there which you might end up watching, because I really enjoyed them. Okay, next up we have Marta Romalo, and I apologise again if I butcher your name. Thank you for the question. Who do you think is going to die in next season, and what's your favourite episode so far? So I'm going to come out and say it, but I really do think it's one of 3 characters. I think it could be Beth, I think it could be Maggie, and I think it could be Glenn. I think one of those 3, and the reason I say Maggie or Glenn is because of this marriage thing. I'm still really suspicious of it. It seemed to have come out of nowhere, and I understand why they would want to do it, because of the world they live in. There's no guarantee of tomorrow, so they want to get it done now. But I feel like it's a way of building up those characters, so should one of them die, it will be interesting to watch how the other one copes with that, because we've seen their relationship and how much they're in love and how much they care for each other. And if one of them is killed, it will be torturous on the other member, so that would be really interesting for the writers to write into the show, so us as a viewer can watch that happen. It would be devastating, of course, but I feel like one of those 2 could be a character to die for that reason. And as for Beth, I feel like Beth, because she's always a background character. Again, we've not really explored her as a character. She's always been on the fringes. We see her pop up in the scene now and again and do something, but she's never really part of the main decision making. She's never part of the people that go out on runs. She's never really part of the battles. She's always on the fringes, so yeah, she could be a character that dies as well. So the second part of your question is, what's your favourite episode so far? And I'd have to say, oh, this is a tough one. Thing is, when I think of episodes, because they sort of merge into one thing when I'm watching it, I tend to think of moments. So episodes, not so much, but there's 2 that stick out to me. Of course, the one with Rick and Shane, when Rick killed Shane, that was a great episode. And the other one is the episode with Morgan. Clear, I think, was the name of the episode. And that speech he gave still sits with me to this day. You know, the performance he gave them was just absolutely incredible. And for that reason, again, like I say, moments is the Rick and Shane one and the Morgan speech one. But as for overall episode, what I can remember, I'd have to say season 3 episode 16. There were so many shocking moments in that episode, like the Cole thing and the governor shooting down all the people of Woodbury. That had some really cool moments in it. So as an overall episode, I would say that one, and as just like for moments, I'd say the Morgan one and the Rick and Shane one. So the next question is from Rosita Espinoza. Thank you for the question, I appreciate it. And it says, who do you think is going to die next from the main group? I suppose that feeds into the previous question. I think it will either be Glenn, Maggie, or Beth. And then it says, are you ready for an even darker season 4? There's a new threat coming and I wanted to share that because when we went to season 4 we knew it too, so you can be even more excited. So as I've answered the first part of your question, I'll answer the second part. Are you ready for an even darker season 4? I am super excited for an even darker season 4, and because you say there's a new threat coming to the series, that makes me think, what is going to happen to the governor? Is this new darker threat the governor? Is it just that because he's lost everything and he's got nothing to lose anymore, he's a bigger, badder guy? Or will we have this new threat plus the governor? We're going to have 2 threats coming at Rick from 2 different angles, and that will be nuts if that's the case. But like I say, super excited for season 4. I hear nothing but good stuff about it, and I'm actually wanted to start watching it this week, but I've got a lot going on this week, so I couldn't. But I'm really looking forward to getting started next week. So next 2 questions actually come from Vegeta Sama, and I apologise again if I ruined that name, but thank you, brother, I appreciate it. And he says, what are your goals for this channel? To be specific, what are your plans after you've caught up with The Walking Dead? So I'm hoping I can finish catching up with The Walking Dead just as season 8 starts, so then we'll have season 8 to watch together as well. We'll go through that together, and beyond that I was thinking about Fear the Walking Dead. I'm definitely doing Game of Thrones when it comes out. My brother might be involved with that, so we have that to look forward to. I was even thinking about doing Iron Fist as well, that's coming out on Netflix shortly. If I do that, it will be done in a different way, because what I'll do is I'll watch 2 episodes then do a review, because I'd rather get that in a quicker time so it doesn't interfere with my Walking Dead reaction videos. So I'd probably do that. I don't know yet. I'm waiting to see what overall reviews are and if it's any good, and if it's good then I'll go through and watch it. But as for the rest of the channel, I really don't know. I love doing reactions, it's something I enjoy, but I'd also eventually like to do movie reviews, because like TV, I love movies, and while my reviews, if I do them, won't be like critical reviews, they'll be more like opinion pieces, what I think of certain aspects of the film. And I would love to eventually be able to do that with films just coming out in the cinema, so going to cinema every week and watching those films. And tying into that, my ultimate goal is to become a full-time YouTuber. Now, I know this isn't easy, you know, it's very hard to do to become a full-time YouTuber. I'd even be happy with a part-time YouTuber. And for it to become my job in a way, because, you know, it's something I love doing, and we all do. We all want to do a job that we love doing, and some of us, are blessed with being able to do that, and others aren't. And the only way I'm going to find out if I'm able to do that is if I try. And that's what I'm doing with this channel. I'm reacting to this series. I'm trying to bring more original content, like that video I was talking about, my top 5s. Eventually I'd like to do more gaming videos as well, because I enjoy gaming. It's something I do in my spare time. And yeah, there's a lot of content I feel I can add to this channel. And I was actually weighing up an option, which I'll put to you now actually. I was looking into Patreon and how that could work with my channel. I thought up some tiers for rewards. I was thinking of doing 3 tiers, a $1, a $5 and a $20. The $1 you have access to polls, Patreon polls, which will be after every episode of The Walking Dead. I'll say ask a question and ask your thoughts on that. So I'll put up a poll, you can vote on that if you're a patron, then I'll talk about it in the next episode. $5 you'll get the videos early. What I'll do is I'll stick to the regular schedule on the channel. Nothing will change on the channel if you're not a Patreon. But if you are a patron, you'll get the videos as soon as they are uploaded. Because normally I upload them about 12 hours before they go live, because I like to stick with a schedule on YouTube. And basically you'll get emailed a link to an early video. And there's other stuff as well that I've thought of, but I'll bring that up at a later date. I mean, there'll be more rewards in the $20 version, of course. But if I do that, there'll only be 4 spots for the $20 version, because you'll get the title of a producer of TVandme, so you'll get all the rep that comes with that and stuff. But again, it's just an idea at the moment. It's something I'm looking into, so I could probably do this more often, bring you more videos, do more shows, do more reviews. Again, like I say, just an option at the moment, but just give me your feedback on that underneath, and let me know if that's something that's worth looking into. The second part to Vegeta Sama's question is, do you have a wife and kids? Quick answer, no, I do not have a wife and kids. I'm single at the moment. I've not met the right lady in my life yet, and I'm actually at a point in my life where I'm enjoying my freedom as being single. So no wife, no kids, happy to continue going on that way for a little while yet. So the next question comes from Agnostic Brony. Thank you for the question. It says, awesome reaction. Thank you, brother. Alright, 2 questions. 1, when do you think in the Walking Dead world is it right to take another human life? Ooh, good question. What do you expect to happen in the next 4 seasons? What do you hope to happen? So first question, when do I think it's alright to take a human life? That is a really tough question. Of course, in this world I'm in now, the real world, I never think it's alright to take a human life. But in the Walking Dead world, I feel it's based all around survival of you and your group, because it's very tribal in The Walking Dead. You know, you've got your tribe, you look after them, you've got your group, and anybody that's outside that group has to be approached very carefully. So if somebody comes to you in a threatening manner, then I feel like you have a right to take their life. I always feel like there should be some sort of warning. You know, you shouldn't just kill them dead straight there and then. There should be a warning. Like, for instance, the Cole situation, while that one's a bit grey in the way it was handled, I feel like he was given the warning, the kid. He was told, put the gun down. But he kept on approaching. He went to hand over the gun, but he didn't follow instructions. So again, I feel like following the instructions of somebody who's pointing a gun at you is very critical. So if somebody doesn't follow those instructions, you have every right to shoot them. But I always feel like there should always be an option before taking a life, like I say, a warning, or maybe shooting someone in the leg. I mean, I think that's not done nearly enough. I think like you should shoot someone in the leg or something, or in the foot, just to stop them in their tracks, you know, not to kill them, but maybe push them out. But maybe you could also say then that person would recover and maybe go back to that group, and then that group would come and attack. So I mean, it's a massive grey area. I don't have the answer. I mean, I think it's all based on a case-to-case basis, how that person is acting, what sort of threat they posed. But, you know, honestly, I haven't got the right answer. As for what I expect to happen in the next 4 seasons, honestly, I have no clue. And I'm glad I have no clue. I'm glad I can't read the show, because then it's more of a surprise. I enjoy it more, and I really want to see what the writers bring to the table. Now we're 3 seasons in and we've got to know the characters better. All I hope is, and I feel like this will happen anyway, I feel like Rick's group is always going to be whittled down and new characters will be added, characters will be taken away. But I hope in the long run, like, the characters I enjoy the most are able to survive a long time. That's my main thing I hope for in the next 4 seasons. But as for storylines, I have no clue, and I like it that way. So the next one comes from Woot Gaming, I think that's how you pronounce that, and it says, who are your top 5 favourite characters? So this might actually shock quite a few people, but there will be Rick, Daryl. I'm really enjoying Daryl and the character arc he's been on lately. So Rick, Daryl, Michonne is another character who is badass. I mean, her forgiving Rick took her up a few notches again. You know, she didn't hold on to that grudge. She knew the tough decision Rick had. She dealt with it. I mean, again, she's got a samurai sword, so automatically she's in top 5. So we've got her. And this one's actually going to surprise quite a few people, I think, because we've only seen him twice, and that's Morgan. I mean, again, it's based around that whole speech he gave and just the acting performance he had. But Morgan's going to be up there. Every time Morgan is in the show, I really enjoy it, so he's definitely in the top 5. As for the last spot, I'm not too sure. I mean, when I say top 5 characters as well, I should say these characters I all like. It's just that certain characters maybe I like just a minute bit more. But as for the 5th, and I know you're probably shouting at the screen right now, Glenn. But I do like Glenn still, I really enjoy him still, but he's slowly slipped down the like table for me, just because of what's happened with his character. In terms of, before, you know, in season 1 and 2 he was cheeky, he was snappy, he'd come out with these quips, whereas now he's settled down, he's fallen into the role as a husband or a boyfriend, soon to be husband. And, you know, he looks out for Maggie, he's always worried about Maggie, and, you know, that worry shows in his personality. And I don't blame him, I totally don't blame him, but I feel like him and Maggie come as a unit now, and I don't quite enjoy him as much as I used to, but I still like him. So, do you know what? For the 5th one, I'm going to leave it open. I don't know, like, there's so many people for the 5th place I could put in there, because I like them all just as much as each other. So I'll say those top 4 and then leave the 5th open to everyone else. Yes, I'm going to cheat. Next question comes from, oh god, I'm going to butcher this, DZM? I'll say DZM, I apologise if that's wrong. What do you think about Michonne forgiving Rick so easily? Honestly, I was completely shocked by that. I didn't think that would be something she did, because we saw with Mel she still held on to that grudge. But then again, Mel hunted her down and tried to take her life. So there's sort of a big difference between Rick and Mel. And even though Rick was going to sacrifice her life for the greater good, or for what he saw was the greater good, you know, he had a reason to do it, whereas Mel was just doing it because he was told. So I'm really happy she forgave Rick. Honestly, like I say, I didn't see it coming. It just shows the sort of character she is. She understands the tough decisions people have to make, and I guess she's just happy he made the right choice in the end. He changed his mind, so the fact she doesn't hold a grudge is good with me. Next question comes from Carl Mole 65. Hey Kevin, have you ever seen Sons of Anarchy? So I've seen the first few episodes of Sons of Anarchy. You'll notice this with me, I tend to do it with TV shows where when a TV show is released, I'll normally watch the first few episodes, then I'll think to myself, right, I'll let a few episodes come out, then I'll carry on watching it, and I just forget about it. I move on to other stuff. And I've done it with so many TV shows. I mean, I even did it with The Walking Dead, like you know. I watched the first few episodes and then moved on. There's not many TV shows which I sit down and actually watch all the way through. So the fact I'm doing this with The Walking Dead is actually out of character for me. But I am enjoying it, and I should really do it with more TV shows. But to answer your question, yes, I've seen a little bit, but I've not seen all of it. But I hear it's good by all accounts. So the next question comes from Riri Yanti. Thank you for the question again, I really appreciate it. Do you think Andrea, Milton and Laurie redeemed themselves before their death? Or do you think it was karma? So I'm a big believer in karma in real life, but I don't really apply it to TV shows because they're scripted, because writers write them. I don't believe karma is ever brought into it by the writers, so I'll leave that out straight away. But as for people redeeming themselves, Andrea... The big issue I had with Andrea was the stupid decisions she made along the way, and she was ignoring stuff. And I don't feel like she had the opportunity to redeem herself, because, I mean, she tried to escape, which redeemed her to a certain degree. She tried to get back to the group, but because she was brought back to Woodbury, she was put in that chair, she couldn't speak to Rick, she couldn't speak to the rest of the group and apologise. You know, she never had that opportunity. So in a way, I don't feel like Andrea did redeem herself. Milton, totally. I mean, Milton was never a bad guy. I've said it over and over that he sometimes put his work in front of his morals, but he wasn't really a bad guy. And you know what? Milton could have stabbed Andrea and then continued on with the governor, but he decided not to. He decided to turn and try and stab the governor, and he got killed for his troubles. So totally, Milton totally redeemed himself. No issue there whatsoever. Laurie. Laurie's a tough one, because I don't really see the massive issues that Laurie did. I mean, I know she was a bit of a wrench in the works with Shane and Rick, but again, she was a character that never really got to redeem herself in terms of fixing the issues with Rick, because we saw, you know, that's the whole reason Rick's hallucinating, because he never got to resolve their issues. So I guess in a way she never really redeemed herself. But again, all deaths I felt sad about, you know, some more than others for certain reasons, but no, I'd say no. Apart from Milton, no, they didn't redeem themselves. And the next question comes from Thomas Cullen, thank you. It says, if you could have an interaction between two characters of season 1 and 3 that never met, who would those two characters be? So I've had a little think about this, and without a doubt it would be Shane and the governor. I would love to see the sparks that would fly between those two characters. While I feel like Shane had some of the same thoughts as the governor, I don't feel like he was as cold or menacing as him, you know. So to see those two go head to head, especially the way the governor has been attacking Rick's group, and like I said earlier in the questions, I feel like Shane would fit more into Rick's group now at this point in time. So if Shane had been about while the governor was doing this, to see Shane go head to head with the governor would be really cool, because he would be a lot less diplomatic than Rick has been, and I feel like he would have dealt with the governor much sooner. So like I say, if I could see those two characters go head to head, that would be amazing. Next question comes from Jordan Brailsford. Thank you, I appreciate it, and thank you for the constant messages on Twitter. I appreciate it, it's nice talking to you. First question, who are your 5 favourite characters? I've already been through that. Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Morgan, and the 5th one I've left open to everyone else because I'm a cheat. 2, what do you think of Carol's development so far, from going from a weak, scared, abused wife mum to a scared of nothing badass? I'm actually really proud of her. She's been fantastic through this series. You know, like you say, we saw her as that weak, scared person, and eventually she saw her husband died, and I think that sort of woke her up a bit. You know, she realised she was no longer under the thumb of that guy. He couldn't control her anymore. So I think that's when she began to really flourish. And I think Daryl's helped a lot as well with her own personality and coming through the trials and tribulations she has. So yeah, it's been amazing to watch, and I'm really looking forward to see where she goes from here. Number 3, which is your favourite season so far, and which one is your least favourite season? I talked about that as well. 3 favourite, 2 second favourite, 1 least favourite, even though I enjoyed them all. 4, scale from 1 to 10, how much do you love The Walking Dead now? I'd give it a 7.5. I'm really enjoying it. I really am, but I feel like there's a lot more for it to bring to me, so I'm really enjoying, and I'm really looking forward, I should say, to seeing where it goes now. And number 5, saddest death so far. Sorry for the amount of questions I asked Kevin Noel. Thank you so much for answering them, and good luck. Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate it. So I'll quickly answer that 5th question on camera. Saddest death so far. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to say Laurie. And it's not so much for the death, and I keep saying this, it's for the circumstances surrounding the death and what came out of that death with Carl and everything. So despite people not liking her, and I understand why people don't like her, for me personally, with the events surrounding it, I'd have to say Laurie, because of the baby angle as well, of course. So the next question comes from King Caden21. Thank you, I appreciate it. And it says, TVandme, out of all the people from season 1 who are still alive, who do you think will last the longest besides Rick? Ooh, good question, because he's the main character. This is a really good question, and I'm thinking about who has the strongest survival instincts, and I feel like it's Michonne. I feel like out of all the characters in that group, Michonne has the strongest survival instincts out of anyone, and she's shown that she's willing to do anything. She's shown that she's willing to leave comfort in order to survive. So out of everyone, easy answer, Michonne. Next question comes from, oh my god, I am going to butcher your name, I am so sorry, I'll say it the best I can. It's from QK Steens. I've probably absolutely decimated that, and I apologise, but thank you for the question. And it says, TVandme, what do you think the governor is going to do now? Without an army and only with Martinez and the other black guy of the Ark. This is actually a really good question, and because all the people from Woodbury have now moved to Rick's group, I feel like it can't stay that way, because I don't see the show following such a big group. So I think in some way the governor is going to come back, and he's going to attack Rick again in some way or another. When it is, I don't know, but I feel like he'll attack that group and kill most of the people from Woodbury, because he'll have a vendetta against them, because I guess in his mind he'll see that they betrayed him because they've left Woodbury. Even though he killed all those people, I bet in his own mind he thinks that they've betrayed him. So I reckon he'll kill all the people from Woodbury, and then maybe Rick, Michonne or someone will end up killing him. But like I said earlier, I don't have much of an imagination. That's why I watch TV shows and movies, because, you know, they do things which I don't think of. They bring great stories to the table, which I really enjoy, and I guess the writers have got something really impressive up their sleeve with that character. No doubt it'll be a lot more menacing now because of everything he's done and everything he's gone through and the character arc he's been on, but I mean, he's got those 2 guys with him. Maybe there'll be a little threesome that will go around the world just wrecking everyone, you know, attacking small groups and getting the stuff they want. But we'll have to wait and see, as I always say, and yeah, I hope it's something really interesting. So the next question comes from Atomic Adam 91. You didn't seem to touch much on Carol this season, or is it possible that I missed it? I did actually go into depth about Carol at some point. I can't remember which episode it was, but I did talk about her quite a bit, about the character arc she's been on, so I'll probably bring up some of that again. So I was wondering, what do you think about Carol being the one to tell Andrea how she should kill the governor? I think that's amazing. I think that Carol has sort of woken up. I spoke to it a couple of questions ago about how, you know, she's woken up ever since she got from under the thumb of her husband, you know, controlling her. She realised the freedom she has, and she's gradually woke up to the world that she lives in. Like every other character has in the show, she's finally realised that, you know, there's certain characters that you just have to deal with, and I feel like that's related to her husband as well. I think now she has some regret that she didn't end it with her husband sooner. Now she's, like I say, she's out from under the thumb. She realises the freedom she has, and she can see the bad guys from a mile off because of her experience with them, and she knew the only way to stop the governor, just like her husband, was to kill him. And number 2, do you think if the roles were reversed, Carol would have been able to kill him in the way she told Andrea to, or at all? That's a really good question. I have no idea. We've not actually seen Carol kill anybody, if I can recall. I'm probably forgetting someone really important, but off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of anyone Carol killed. Again, put it in the comment section if I am forgetting, but we've not really seen an example of her doing that, so I can't flat out say that she would, but I feel like she had the right mindset in order to do it, because, like I say, of her past experiences. So, do I think she would do it? Yes. I feel like she would see her husband in the governor at some point, and she would take her frustration out on him, and she would kill him. So there we go. Next we have Group of Gamers Inc. 194. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. I would love it if you would give your thoughts or detailed thoughts on Carl and his development so far, and what will become of him from here on out. Just something to consider. Each time Laurie shows up to Rick, she has a certain type of outfit on. I did not realise that. Thank you for that. Check back on those scenes and what Rick's state of mind is at that point. I'll have to do that, and what he is considering doing around that time. It plays a bigger part than you think. I did not know that. I will actually go back to those scenes at some point and watch them and see the difference in the outfit she's wearing. But as for Carl, he is really interesting. You know, we saw him in season 1 and 2 sort of grow up really fast. You know, we had that big speech with his dad in the barn about the boy having to die, you know, because he's going to have to see his mum and his father die. And of course in season 3 we actually had his mum dying, and I think the death of his mum and him shooting mum was the turning point of his childhood totally gone. Whereas his childhood was going at certain points in the first 2 seasons. I feel like there was still a bit of child left in him. Now he's just like an adult in a kid's body, you know. He's seen the people around him. Like I say, I spoke about this before actually. He's always on the outskirts looking in on people, talking. You know, he's in a scene but he's not interacting with everyone, he's watching. And because he's able to watch the mistakes of people. He's able to see where people go wrong and the results of what people do in those moments. And I feel because of that, he's got to the point he's at now. You know, he's no longer going to take any bullshit. I feel like, in fact, he may be the new Shane. If somebody poses a threat, you know, there's not going to be any warning shot like I said there should be in the previous questions. He's just going to deal with that issue there and then. From now on in, I see him getting colder and colder. I feel like there's going to be no excuses. Just, you threaten me. If I feel you're even a threat, you know, you don't even have to threaten me. If I feel you're a threat, I will end you there and then. I think he's going to become what his dad isn't, and that is a cold-blooded killer. But that's just my thoughts. I'll go deeper into it as we get into season 4, but just quickly, because I've got so many questions to get through, that's what I think in a short statement. Next question comes from Zombie Fezzle 99, and it says, nice video again, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Who do you think would win out of these two, Shane or the governor? So thinking about this, when you say win, do you mean in a fight? Because if it's a straight up fist fight, I feel like Shane would win, because I feel he's a stronger character. I feel like he would be able to beat up the governor. But if you're talking about in terms of, you know, a strategic war, like there's one group versus one group, I really don't know. I think, like, in a lot of ways these two guys are very equal in terms of the way they think, the way they feel, you know, the way they will treat people, whereas the governor sort of goes over that line more than Shane would, even though Shane does do things, or did do things, which we as the viewer would see as wrong. The governor does much worse. But like I say, I feel like they've got a lot in common, but if it's a straight up fight, which I think you're saying, then I feel like it would be Shane. So next question comes from Larido Isn't So Bad. Again, I apologise if I destroyed that name. And it says, hey Kevin, where is your Walking Dead t-shirt? You need one to be an official fan. So I do have a really good excuse for that. Like, you know, I am trying to avoid spoilers like the plague. And I'm so worried that if I search for Walking Dead shirts, and I actually wanted to get a Walking Dead booster for my background, but like I say, I'm so worried about spoilers that I don't dare search for them online, because, you know, there could be a t-shirt with someone's face on it who I've not met, or a character that's dead, you know, or it says something which just will ruin a moment for me. And that is honestly the only reason why I haven't got one. Otherwise I would. Hopefully when I catch up with season 7 though, I'll be able to get myself one, and I may even ask, I might have a word with my brother, see if he can look out for a poster for me for my background, so I don't have to search for it. So that's the reason. I hope it's a good enough reason, and hopefully I have one in the near future. So the next question is from Duck Season, and I'm not going to read all this question because it's quite long, and I appreciate the comment though, I really do. I read through it all. I just pull out certain parts. For instance, why so emotional about the death of Andrea? So the reason I was so upset about Andrea's death, I think, was because of the people around her, you know, Rick and Michonne, you know, them having to watch their friend die. That got to me. Also the fact she never really got to redeem herself, as we talked about before, that was another reason. And you know, she was also originally a part of the crew in season 1, the original group, and because of that reason I'll always have feelings for her, because she was part of that original group. Despite everything that went on, and they were the main reasons I was upset about her. Apart from that, I appreciate the comment. You made some really good points in there yourself. I agree with most of them, so thank you for that. But let's move on to the next. So next question comes from Sean H. Thank you very much again. And out of all the main characters, apart from Rick, rank who you think would survive the longest to the shortest. So the order in which I think people will survive, I actually had to write down because I couldn't remember everyone, and I probably missed people here, but Michonne I think will survive the longest, and then it goes down to Daryl, Carl, Carol, Tyrese, Sasha, Herschel, Beth, and then I've got Meggie and Glenn at the bottom because I still feel like they're setting them up for a fall, but I guess we just have to wait and find out. So next question comes from American Mum. Thank you very much for the question, I appreciate it. And it says, what do you think of the new group from Woodbury getting off the bus? They're now joining the prison. Why did Rick feel obligated to take them in? He's been so hesitant with even one person in the past. Great reaction, season 4. So as I mentioned previously, my big theory is the governor's going to come back and kill all those people from Woodbury. I could be completely wrong, of course, because I've been wrong about a lot in this show, but that's just my theory at the moment, going from what I feel like the writers would do. But why did Rick feel obligated to bring him into the group? I feel maybe because of what he knows happened, because he met with Karen and she told him the governor murdered them all. He'll probably feel responsible if he did nothing, if he just left those people there, because they are old people. We saw there were old people, there were young people, you know, they're people that really aren't a threat. Maybe because if he left them in Woodbury, he feels the governor would have gone back and killed them as well, and then their deaths would have been on his conscience. So I feel he did it so the governor doesn't have the chance to kill him. That's my big theory anyway. I could be completely wrong. He could have other ulterior motives, but I feel like it's just so he doesn't have their deaths on his conscience. So the final question is from Rob G now, and it says, at the end of season 3, which is your favourite character, and which one do you most dislike, not care about of those yet alive, and why do you like the first, and what is lacking in the second from your point of view? Do you know what, I was just sitting there and I was trying to remember what I said for my favourite character in the previous question. I know it was either Daryl or Michonne, because those two characters probably are my favourite at the moment, so I'll say those two for favourite. And what do you most dislike? Who do you most dislike? Oh, dislike, that's a strong word. I don't dislike anyone. I care the least about Beth, mainly because the reasons I stated before. She's never really a part of the attacking groups, a part of the runs, a part of, you know, the conversation. She's just on the outskirts. I mean, she's looking after Judith, which you know, is a responsibility that needs to be done. You know, someone's got to do it. But I mean, I wouldn't say I dislike her. It's just someone I don't really think about when I think about the group. So unfortunately, I'd have to say Beth. As for what's lacking in her character, I just have to simply say screen time. You know, we had the whole thing with her in season 2 about the suicide, but apart from that, we've not really had any character development, not really. And maybe we'll get some in season 4, that'd be nice to see, but at the moment, just the lack of screen time is the only reason I care for her the least. So there we have it, we're finally through the questions. I've been sat here for 3 hours going through those, and it was really enjoyable talking about the characters, and I'm sorry I started to rush towards the end, but I've got to go out in a little while, and I had to get through them really quick. So I appreciate all the questions. I hope I answered your questions. If you've got any more questions, or you want me to add more onto what I said about your question, then just message me on Twitter. I'll be happy to write a message to you, or write in the comment section. I'll expand on it there. But until my next reaction next week, thank you for watching, guys, and bye bye.